more concerned with the human condition and how we can improve it. That's the question. The answer? Evolve. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes. Columbia, South Carolina, and of course to everyone who is listening to us via the web, welcome to Evolve, and I am your host, Tazima, on this Tuesday morning. Oh, this is just so weird because I can barely hear myself, okay? You guys know I always like to keep it real. Anyway, today we are going to have a great show for you. I'm really excited about it. My guest on the line is Molly Larkin. She has been a guest before on Evolve when I was on during the evening. So this is going to be a very, very good show. I look so forward to it. But I want to give you guys some background first for those of you who are not familiar with Molly. She lives in Southwest Michigan and is the co-author along with Elder Marcellus Williams, who is also known as Bearheart, of the international bestseller, The Wind is My Mother. I just love that title. The Wind is My Mother, The Life and Teachings of a Native American Shaman. And this book has been in continuous print since 1996 and has been translated into 12 languages. Molly has studied with indigenous elders from around the world for over 25 years. She's a licensed trainer for Healing in America, the U.S. affiliate of England's largest healing organization, the Healing Trust. She is also an energy healing practitioner working with people, pets, and horses, both in person and via long distance. And she's also taught personal growth and spirituality workshops around the world. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you all to Molly Larkin. Welcome back, Molly. How have you been?
I have been great. It's very good to be back, Tazima. Thank you for having me back.
You know what? I told you I was going to have you back because I enjoyed our conversation so much.
So did I.
Yeah, I mean, it was really, really good. I mean, that night, as a matter of fact, I put the show up on my YouTube channel. And I don't do that, okay?
Oh.
I don't do that. So I was so impressed with our conversation that I just had to put that show up.
Well, I appreciate it. I was impressed with how fast you got it up on YouTube.
That was how excited I was about it. I mean, it was a really, really good show, so I truly enjoyed it. But like I said during the introduction, the first thing is this, and this might be a little superficial, but this is how I connect with things. I just love, there's something about the title, The Wind is My Mother. And I remember from our last conversation, the book is about Bearheart, and this was your spiritual teacher.
Yes.
And you're going to share with us actually how he became your spiritual teacher. But I remember from our last conversation, you were saying that his mother was a part of the Wind clan.
Yes.
And ever since you said that, I just love the energy. You probably understand what I'm saying. I love the energy of the title.
Yeah, it's a beautiful title.
It's very beautiful.
His tribe, I think many tribes have this. They have clans, where the people who are a member of a particular clan work with the gifts of that clan. So, for example, Bearheart being of the Wind clan, because his mother was from the Wind clan, he has the particular gift of being able to communicate with the wind and pray with the wind and ask things of the wind. He also was a member of the Bear clan, so from his father's side, his father's lineage, and so he always used to say, "The wind is my mother and the bear is my father."
That is just so, it's just so beautiful.
It is beautiful.
And when you think about it, though, what do you say, and we're definitely going to get into who Bearheart was, but I have to ask this question. When you said that honoring the gifts of the clan that you come from, so in his case, his mother being from the Wind clan and him being able to pray and work with the wind and all of this, because I also remember a story that you shared with us, and maybe you can share it with us again, about a situation where the wind just came in and blew everything away, or blew it all around. But nobody was hurt. And his comment being, the wind is my mother. So, what do you say to people who look at that tradition of being able to pray to the wind or the elements or connect with the animals as, hoodoo, or, obviously you're not totally connected? Because we know that the Native Americans, that was a big part of tradition, honoring every element on the planet. Yes.
Well, if people don't intuitively understand that they are part of the earth and affected by the earth and the world around them in terms of nature, there isn't much I would say, because you either get that or you don't. But so many people do. In fact, there was a Native American prophecy from a long, long time ago that said that the children of their oppressors, meaning the children of the white people who decimated Native American tribes, would come back to the Native tribes seeking their teachings. So for the past several decades, there has been a big movement of people turning to Native American teachings and wanting to learn more and reading books.
Right.
And trying to find Native American teachers to teach them how to live in balance with the earth.
Well, it's interesting, because a lot of not just the Native American culture and the way of life, in terms of tradition and honoring the planet and everything like that, but also there seems to be this movement toward Eastern consciousness.
Yes.
So all these groups that Europeans thought were savages, or they were ignorant, or they didn't know what they were talking about, now all this information is coming forward, revealing that actually they did, and they had a connection that may have been mystical to those people who came in contact with them, but now we're finding that there is factual proof behind this. Yes. Like the art of meditation, being able to slow down the heart rate, yes. and before that was all, what are you doing? You're over there. People didn't get it, so they reduced it to becoming something negative. But I want you to tell us about Bearheart, and why is it that you wrote this book with him?
Well, thank you. Well, I met Bearheart at a time in my life when I was going through a real valley of darkness. In a one-year period, I had lost my business, filed for bankruptcy. I had been in a relationship with a man, and even though we were no longer together, he committed suicide, which was devastating for me. And I was really at the darkest point in my life. And a friend said, a Native American elder by the name of Bearheart is coming to town. Why don't you meet with him, because he's a brilliant counselor? So I did. And I only spent 20 minutes with Bearheart, and I walked out feeling I walked out feeling hope. And there's only one thing I remember from my conversation with him, because I had told him that I actually had been thinking of taking my own life. And he said to me, there are many forms of death and rebirth. It's not necessary to leave your physical body in order to be reborn into a new life.
Wow.
And that gave me such hope.
And that is so powerful.
Yes, and so true.
Yes, very true.
So that was a real turning point for me. And then I had an opportunity to spend a lot of time with him and study with him and travel with him. And I reached a point where I just felt like my life had experienced such a turnaround from my time with him that I went to him and I said, excuse me, I would like to write a book on your teachings. Because if 20 minutes with you could make such a difference in my life, think of what a book full of your wisdom and stories could do for a larger group of people. And he agreed, even though I'd never had anything published before. And I worked on the book and got it published, and to me it was a labor of love, and I was really surprised to find out that it struck a chord. It's been in continuous print since 1996, and it's been translated into 10 languages around the world.
And it's an international bestseller.
Yeah, it
is. Which is, that in and of itself is amazing, because like you said, you've never written a book before.
Right.
And for you to write a book, and all of a sudden now it's not just a national bestseller, but an international bestseller, and it's been in print, like you said, continuously since 1996.
And I think that's simply because it was meant to be, because his teachings and his way of expressing himself are just so rich. He was a wonderful storyteller. I've seen him with groups of people, having them going from laughter to tears and back to laughter, and all to get across a point of a beautiful message that can impact their lives.
And that's something that we have definitely lost. The art of storytelling. You don't find that much anymore. And the beauty of that was to be able to get a deeper message across to a large group of people.
Yes.
And they could hold on to that.
Yes.
So we've just lost so much. Now, when did Bearhart actually cross over? When did he transition?
4 years ago.
Okay, so it's fairly recent.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So what do you? I wanted to ask you this the last time, and I didn't get the chance. So I have to ask you now. What do you think was, and I'm sure there are many, so I just want you to pick out one that you believe was the most important message that he wanted people to receive?
To love one another.
Mm-hmm.
He was the epitome of that. He really was the epitome of that. In fact, the way he got his name, Bearhart, came from a vision quest he did, but the elder who put him on the vision quest, aside from the fact that he had an encounter with a bear during that vision quest, a real live bear, the elder also gave him that name because bears are very big, powerful, but extremely gentle. They can walk through the forest and not leave any trace that they were there, unless they chose to leave a trace. And Bearhart was like that. He was very, really practiced forgiveness better than anyone I know, full of love and kindness, very compassionate. He was the epitome of that.
Which is amazing when you consider everything that the indigenous people, meaning Native Americans. I've also heard that the term Native American is insulting. Is that true?
No, I have not heard anyone.
Okay.
I have not heard any Native Americans that I know complain about that.
Okay. But, it's interesting that he could have such a compassionate heart, and yet it was his people, so to speak, that suffered, so much on their own land, which leads me to this, because, it's 2 days before Thanksgiving. And so I have to ask you this question. Yesterday, I had a colleague who has a show. I called into his show, and he asked me this question: what were my likes and dislikes about Thanksgiving? And I told him, I said, well, I like the idea of Thanksgiving as we were taught it in school, most of us anyway. And that was, families coming together. The little bit of history that you got about Thanksgiving in school showed, people of different cultures and backgrounds, coming together, recognizing this as being a day of being thankful, or at least that's what it ultimately turned into, and being thankful for what you have, such as family, friends, a roof over your head, food on the table, especially now. And then in response to what I dislike about Thanksgiving, I told him that, how so many Native Americans were slaughtered. removed from their lands and reduced to being referred to as savages or the other. And I know that for many indigenous people, Thanksgiving is actually like a day of mourning for them. Yes. And how often do we sit at our tables with, all our food and friends and family and even think about those people who this land belonged to, okay? the treatment that they received and in many cases continue to receive today. How many times do we even consider them as a part of this celebration? Right. How do we heal that?
Oh, what a big question. How do we heal that? Well, sometimes I think healing the past is about just looking to the future and the present with hope and love and kindness and understanding, and just don't look back. Mm-hmm. And don't blame and don't point fingers. Mm-hmm. That's a big Native American teaching. If you point a finger or blame at someone, remember that you have 3 fingers pointing back at you.
True.
I heard Barrett say that so many times. And one thing is that he helped me understand, because I'm 100% Irish. And one thing I know is that I'm second generation born in this country. So my ancestors, grandparents and great-grandparents on both sides of my family left Ireland because of the extreme poverty.
Wow.
And I know that during the potato famine, there was plenty of food in Ireland to feed everyone. But the English were exporting it back to England, and it wasn't getting distributed to the Irish who were starving. I could easily get into hating the English for that. But you know what? All the English who did that, they're not around anymore. Right. And I have a lot of friends who are English today who are kind, loving, compassionate, wonderful people. I'm not going to blame them for what their ancestors did.
Well, you know what, Molly?
Do the wise Native Americans.
We have got a call, so I'm going to go to the phone lines, and then I'm going to touch on, I've had the same experience. So let's go to the phone lines, though. Okay, caller, you're on the air with Molly Larkin.
I just want to thank Molly for writing her book. It was a brilliant read. And it just kind of, with me being Cherokee, it just reached into my soul and it grabbed a hold. And I just can't thank her enough.
Oh, thank you for
being able to do that.
Good.
Wow. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for calling in. Did you have a question, or you just wanted to make that comment?
No, I just wanted to let her know how much I appreciate it, and I will tell her thank you in Cherokee. Wado.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, caller. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
So Wado is the Cherokee word for thank you.
And you know what? In Creek, the word for thank you is Mado.
Oh.
So it's very close. And Creek and Cherokee are very close linguistically.
Well, it's the last time we were on the phone with each other, I was telling you that my grandmother was part Cherokee and actually part white. And but in my mom and my aunts and them would talk about how my grandmother married an African man, African American, a very dark-skinned African American at that. And my mom came out fair-skinned with green eyes, but she would tell us how they didn't even want to identify. They were like the products of the 2 worst groups at that time in this country, being part African American and part Native American. So they tried to push away any Native American, because I think at that point being Native American was even worse than being African American. It's just amazing. We've made so much progress, and yet we still have so much further to go. But Molly, we've got another call, so let me go back to the phone lines. Okay, caller, you're on the air with Molly Larkin.
Hey, Tazima, how you doing?
Hey, Damon, how are you?
Fine. I had to call in. I don't know. I always felt ambivalent about Thanksgiving. I mean, I celebrate it, but I don't celebrate it for the historical aspect because, I think to myself, I mean, when we went to school, we were told different things about, the Pilgrims,
right?
Landing on Plymouth Rock and how they and the Indians got along together and they were very gracious and things of that nature. And then we found out, we found out later that's not really true. So, it seems like the Pilgrims came over here and they stole the land away from the Indians, and they killed many of them. So I really don't see that as a celebration in a sense. I just celebrate, in the sense that, to be thankful for God for what we have, not because of the historical aspect, because I think the historical aspect is really a farce, and, we should be truthful about what happened.
Okay.
I mean, don't cover it up under the rug or under the bush. What it is what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, Damon. Molly, it's interesting because you were talking about forgiveness and how Bearhart was really, really big on forgiveness and not blame. And the interesting thing about that was when you were talking about being Irish and how you don't blame the English for the experience that the group that you come through, okay, had to suffer. The same thing it happened for me. Because like I've said on the show many times, there was a time in my life when I was very angry with white people. Because when you start reading your history and you start finding out about all these atrocities that have happened, especially when you think about slavery as an African American and you see some of the injustices that still go on, it was really easy to be angry. And it was really easy to point the finger and say, okay, well, you guys did this and you stole that and you lied about this. But you know what? That didn't serve me very well, because what it did was it helped me in this frame of mind that wouldn't allow me to progress. It was like I became like a prisoner of my own anger.
Very well said, yeah.
Yeah, and so ultimately, and it didn't happen to me until I moved to South Carolina. I didn't feel like this in Washington, D.C. Okay, it didn't happen until I moved to South Carolina. And then I started asking myself some serious questions. Well, what is my experience with people? And my experience with people, both white, black, Italian, Chinese, because I have friends from all different walks of life, that I've had some really amazing, wonderful experiences with people. And once I was able to let go of the anger and understand that, these unfortunate things did happen, but what can I do to make a difference? Because being held hostage by it, who is that serving? No one. And that's when the process of healing began to happen for me. And then I begin to move beyond the color of a person's skin, but to really, really connect with people's hearts. And you know what, Molly? We've got another call, hon. So I got to go back to the phone lines.
Okay.
All right. Caller, you're on the air with Molly Larkin.
Hey, Miss T.
Hi.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, hey. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. And, everything that you said I can identify with because of how we were reared.
I need you to talk into the phone. We can hardly hear you.
I identify with everything that you're saying because of how we were reared. We knew the cards that we were dealt with, but we just had to make the best of it.
That's right.
And you can't, if you walk with your head down and feeling sorry for yourself, you will never gain anything in life.
Right.
And even when people act silly, you can control that because you can walk away.
Right. And holding on to anger, it's like the Buddha saying that's on my website. Holding on to anger is like holding a hot coal in your hand with the intention of throwing it at someone else. Okay, so the first person who's injured is you.
And my Bible says, be angry, but sin not. So rather than sin, I'll just walk away. But now if you come after me, I might have to do you.
Well,
I played hooky today just to hear you.
Oh, that is so sweet. Well, thank you. Did you have a question for Molly?
No, but I'm going to get the book. I haven't read it. I wonder if it's on is it an ebook? Can you get it as an ebook?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes, you can.
On my Kindle then.
Yeah, and I know that now it's also, well, I guess it's always been, we talked about so much last time, I forgot to even tell people how to get the book. But I believe you can get it from Amazon now as well, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com. You can get it on my website, MollyLarkin.com.
Okay, I'm gonna get it. But my birthday is Saturday, so that'll be my treat.
Oh,
Happy
wow.
birthday.
Yeah. Well, listen, enjoy. I enjoy your program, and happy Thanksgiving to both of you.
Same to you, hon. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, Molly, yes. So, we're going to have to take a commercial break. But I did want to ask you, what was, and maybe you can answer this as we come back from commercial break, but what was Bearhart's view of Thanksgiving and the way that it's celebrated in this country? So I want you to think about that, and then when we come back, we'll pick up from there.
Okay.
All right. Hold on for me. All right, everybody, I do have to go into commercial break because you guys know I will totally forget. So you are listening to Evolve on WOIC 1230 Columbia. I am Tazima on the phone with Molly Larkin, who is my guest today, and she is the co-author of the international bestseller, The Wind is My Mother, and it's about her spiritual teacher, Bearhart. Did you know that you can listen to Evolve live on the internet? Just go to www.tazima.net and click on Listen Live. Tazima, TZIMA.net. Politics, empowerment, spirit, love, relationships, race, religion, energy. Things that affect our everyday life. We have a divine right to be happy and a responsibility to evolve. So let's talk about it and find solutions together.
Evolve with Tazima. Weekday mornings at 10 on 1230 WOIC.
All right, Columbia, and we are back from commercial break. And, of course, you're listening to Evolve on WOIC 1230 Columbia. I'm Tazima on the phone with Molly Larkin. I keep saying Marley. It's Molly Larkin. As a matter of fact, her website is Molly Larkin, and that's MOLLYLARKIN. That's my DC accent coming in. I can't help it. .com. Molly Larkin. .com. You can go there. She's got a blog. She's got a bunch of information up there. She's got a link to the book, The Wind is My Mother. Every time I say that, I just feel good. The Wind is My Mother. There's something that's connected me to that, and I'm not real sure about it. But we're talking about her spiritual teacher, Bearhart, who co-authored this book with Molly, and it has been in continuous print since 1996. It is an international bestseller. It's talking about Bearhart's life, his wisdom, the guidance that he was able to give. And so it's such an honor to be able to talk to Molly. So I'm going back to the phone line so I can get with her. Molly, you're there, right?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So the question that I asked before, let me give out the telephone number. The telephone number for you guys, area code 803-748-9293, 803-748-9293. The question that I asked before we went into commercial break, what was Bearhart's views on Thanksgiving?
I don't recall him ever saying anything about the way Thanksgiving is celebrated in the United States.
Okay.
What he did teach over and over again is that the Native American view of life was founded on Thanksgiving and gratitude and the giveaway. He had a beautiful teaching. It's hard for us to say thank you without something in our hands.
Oh, wow.
Thanks is always given.
Oh, wow.
And he did teach that in fact, I'm reading from the book here. Mm-hmm. Long before the missionaries came to this continent, my tribe had a ceremony to give thanks for the year's blessings. It was the first dance of the year, our New Year's celebration, held when the earth puts on a new coat of green, new grass, new leaves, and flowers. You
know what, Molly? Something happened, and it sounds like your phone went down.
Oh.
So I'm gonna, but we have another call. I'm gonna go to that call, and hopefully we'll be able to fix it. I don't know what just happened, but I heard a click. But anyway, okay, caller, you're on the air with Molly Larkin.
Oh yes, I just want to thank the writer of the book for being on your show.
Oh.
I just have a statement that This celebration of Thanksgiving is certainly a good feeling that the Native Americans, or whatever you want to call the people that were here before the Europeans, I think it's great that that celebration, it showed the loving kindness of those people.
Mm-hmm.
But I also want to mention that the stuff that's going on in the Gaza Strip is the same thing.
Right.
That is happening to those people. Those Palestinians are being murdered, and they can come up with any excuse to do it, and it just continues. And I think as an American, I'm outraged because it never seems to stop. It's
right.
the same powers that divide us amongst each other and systematically kill us, and it's this fear that they create.
Right.
And it's just so wrong, and it just won't stop. And I mean, it's good to be peaceful and everything, but just think of those people today. They're being bombarded for no reason. They're innocent people, and I can't tell you how it hurts me.
Well, I can hear it in your voice. Actually, I can hear it in your voice, and it's coming up out of your heart. And I'm going to go to Molly, but thank you so much for calling in, and thank you for bringing that to the table as well.
Thank you.
So, Molly, what would you say, to someone who, with you being, especially with you being a student of Bear Heart, and you work with energy, what would you say to those of us who are just overwhelmed with all of the negativity and the violence? It seems like we still don't know how to resolve our differences without having to destroy life to do it. How can we step back and bring forgiveness to the table, or at least bring some type of awareness to the table that we've got to change?
Excellent question. I completely relate to what the gentleman said when he called in. That part of the world seems they've been holding on to disputes and anger that goes so far back for centuries that they probably don't even know where it began. At some point, somebody there is going to have to say, you know what, forget the past, we need to live together in peace.
Right.
And frankly, I think that's going to happen when women are in charge. And
see, that's why I love talking to you, okay, because we are on the same path.
But anyway, here's one thing I believe absolutely. In spite of all the disasters that we see in the news and going on around the world, I believe that there's more good in the world than bad. In fact, looking at the news, which reports all this terrible, terrible sadness and devastation, something that people don't often consider is that, thank God that's newsworthy, because when it becomes so widespread that it's not even worth mentioning anymore, then we're really in trouble.
Oh, you know what? Now, that is an interesting way of looking at it, because I never thought of it like that.
Right.
But you're absolutely right. Well, let me ask you this. Should we, at this point, perhaps, some people accuse me and others that like to focus on what's good, of having this Pollyanna view of the world, and that we're more dangerous than the people who are just out there fighting or whatever, because we feel like, if we focus on peace, then we can bring peace about. I think that there is a middle ground in there, but I'm not sure what it is.
Well, if you realize that the world consists of energy, and that the fix for negative energy is more positive energy, the more positive vibration that we put out into the world, the more it's like turning on the light in a dark room. Just one very specific thing. Bear Heart taught that if you want to help people who are suffering, if you're not going to do them any good if you are also suffering in commiseration with them. He taught, breathe in strength and exhale a desire to cry.
Oh.
Now, he was talking more about if you're working one-on-one with someone.
Right.
But that applies to these situations. We're not doing any good by watching the television and feeling sad. I mean, I watch the television and I feel sad, but I don't watch it for too long.
Right.
Because the best thing I can do is have my daily meditation practice.
Right.
It spreads light into the world. there was a study done in the 1990s, and this has been replicated all over the world. Washington, D.C., the capital of our country, is also the murder capital of our country.
Yeah, I'm from Washington, D.C. That's why I moved to South Carolina.
And in the hot summer months, the crime rate goes up. Mm-hmm. So in June, July of, I think it was 1993, the Transcendental Meditation Organization brought in 4,000 meditators and put them in hotels, and they had them meditate for a certain amount of time every day. Mm-hmm. And it was a very big study, very well conducted, peer-reviewed, and what they determined was that accounting for anything else that might have affected it, just from having the meditators there, the crime rate went down 23% when it would normally go up.
That's right. I remember that.
And this study has been duplicated in cities around the world. Mm-hmm. So that really is the proof for us that if we are doing our own spiritual work and healing ourselves, that's the best way we can heal the planet.
That's beautiful. I mean, and I remember that. And it's interesting that you bring that up, because one of the reasons why I moved out of D.C., born and raised there, to come to South Carolina was because of the violence. You know, the crime rate, like you said, it's the nation's, capital for murder. And that's how I ended up in South Carolina. I remember when I first got here, and they were having, on the news, they was talking about how they had like 2 murders in 3 weeks and how amazing that was. And they were all, I can't believe, in 3 weeks there's been 2 murders. And I was thinking, I just came from a place where you had 2 murders a day. Okay. Yeah. And in many cases more. Those were the ones that made the news. Yeah. So, I do believe it's like Gandhi said, you have to become the change that you want to see.
Yeah. And I don't mean to be a Pollyanna and say, if you just sit there and meditate, you'll change the world. But there are so many positive things we can do. One of which is there's some amazing online organizations that are starting petitions to send messages to world leaders and corporate leaders about what changes we would like to see. You can sign those online petitions. One of them is signon.org.
Right.
That's a way to have a voice. You can write to your congresspeople and your senators and tell them how you feel about particular issues and tell them what you want to see. We need to champion education. We need to be putting more money into education, because as these children grow up, if they're well educated, they will have peace as their goal.
Right, right.
So there's plenty of things that we can do. We're not helpless.
Well, you know what? And this is why I love having this platform, because this is a way to get that information out there.
Yeah.
And I'm not into, hate speech or using my platform as a way to just keep us angry. Like I say, we can agree to disagree. We don't have to slaughter one another because we may see things differently. But if we talk long enough, we're going to figure out there is something that we have in common. So, but you wanted to share a couple of experiences that you didn't get a chance to talk about last time with Bearheart during this interview, correct?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm really excited about the topic we're on right now.
Me too. Well, hey, it's up to you, because I'm going to bring you back. So it's up to you. If you want to keep going with this, I love this conversation as well.
Well, I just want to really wrap this thought up, because it's so important. And some of our greatest teachers, I think Gandhi was the one who said, be the change you want to see in the world.
Exactly.
All healing starts with us.
It does.
And we are the Native Americans teach, in fact, the Lakota tribe, which is one that I've studied with extensively, has a beautiful prayer that says, when they start their ceremonies or when they walk into a ceremony, they say, well, in the Lakota language, it's Mitakwiasan. But what it means is, we are all related. And what it really means is, I am related to everything in creation. Every blade of grass, every tree, every star, every rock. I am not greater than or less than anything in creation. We are all related. And when we really start to understand that and live that way with that respect, people feel it. People notice. It starts to spread out, that good energy.
Well, listen, we're going to go back to the phone lines, okay? So, you're on the air with Molly Larkin.
Hi, Tazima. It's Virginia. Hi, Jess. Thank you for the information that you're giving us this morning. After listening to you, there is something I thought about. Because my husband was in the military and we moved around a lot, I always made sure every time we moved to a new community that I would find a counselor or a psychologist, somebody my children could talk to, even without me not being present. And one of the greatest compliments ever paid me, and something that I'll never forget, was one psychologist who told me that it is so nice that you raised your children. You're raising your children with a social conscience. And I think that's what's missing in a lot of people and a lot of young people today. They're not being raised with a social conscience.
Yes.
I would like to hear your guest's comment on that.
Okay, and thank you, Miss Virginia, for calling in. Okay. All right, you know what, Molly, before you go to that, I have to take this last commercial, so can you hold on to that?
Yes, sir.
And we come back and we'll pick that right on up.
Okay.
All right. All right, everybody, we are going into our final sets of commercials for the evening. Oh, for the day. I'm still thinking I'm on evening radio. Anyway, we are talking with Molly Larkin, author of The Wind Is My Mother, which is about her spiritual teacher, Bearheart. 748-9293, 748. We are back. We've just completed our last set of commercials for the day. And you know what? I fortunately, I had one of the engineers call up, and there might be some crackling in the interview. Something is going on with the system, equipment, okay? So anyway, I apologize for that, and, hopefully we're going to resolve that. So if it is kind of hard to hear it really clear from what he's saying, you can hear it, but it just sounds like it's on AM, which we know that this station doesn't sound like it's AM at all. So I do apologize that for those of you who are out there tuning into the show, but we will be taking care of that. In the meantime, I do have Molly Larkin on the phone with me, and we're discussing a book that she wrote with her spiritual teacher and elder, Bearheart, or he's known as Bearheart, and they co-authored his biography, right, Molly? And the name of that book, which is an international bestseller, is The Wind Is My Mother, The Life and Teachings of a Native American Shaman. And every time I just say the title, I like I said before, I feel it. But you know what, Molly? We've got about 3 minutes, and I'm going to turn this over to you. But before I give you the stage, so to speak, please make sure that we put that information out there again, how people can order the book, how they can get to your website. So,
sure. Well, The Wind Is My Mother can be ordered on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. It can be ordered on my website, MollyLarkin.com. It is also available as an ebook. And on my Facebook page and on MollyLarkin.com, I blog about and post about inspiring topics, and I also take some current topics and put the Native American spin on it about the light at the end of the tunnel. My passion is human potential. That's what I learned from my Native American elders, that you can do, be, or have anything you want. And I share on my blog and on my website the best that I have learned from spiritual teachers around the world. So check it out on my website.
Oh, definitely, because I've been there, and it's very good. It's very good, people. So, again, that's Molly Larkin, and that's MollyLarkin.com. I mean, it's a really, really good website. So, okay, so Molly, we've got like a minute left. So what do you want to leave us with? Okay, because like I said, you're coming back, okay?
Yeah.
So what would you like to leave us with this morning?
Well, we started out, we were talking about Thanksgiving earlier, and I just want to say that make it about more than just the food.
Oh, yes.
The best thing that anyone can do to enhance their life and their health is to have a daily gratitude practice.
That's right.
Before you go to bed each night and first thing when you wake up each morning, list and express at least 5 things you're grateful for. And if you do that on a regular basis, absolutely your life will change.
And you know what? I think what a lot of people don't understand, that is a form of meditation.
Yeah.
That is a form of meditation. So that can be an easy way to develop a regular practice of meditation by waking up in the morning and acknowledging what you're thankful or grateful for. And then before you go to bed at night, giving awareness to that as well. That is definitely another way of meditating.
Yeah.
So listen, Molly, the time has run out. I mean, I just feel like the time with you, it always flies by. So, I'm going to call you. We're going to set up another date for you to come on the show again. But thank you so much for being a guest.
Thank you.
All right. You have a great one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. That was Molly Larkin. I love talking with her. I love her energy. I love her optimism. I just enjoy talking to her. I love the fact that her teacher left her with so much. And she's willing to share that with us too. So anyway, you guys, it's been a blast. It's always a blast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you to those of you who called in. You have been listening to Evolve on WOIC 1230 Columbia. Good morning.